Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Today I wanted to talk about the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I arrived at this topic by watching a Key and Peele video that's kind of creepy, kind of funny. I don't know, it's a Key and Peele video, I guess. But I guess this leads me to my first question, and that is, what would you wish for if you were a child who was contacted by the Make-A-Wish Foundation? For me, I think I'd just wish for being able to eat like a bunch of food. Like I want to eat waffles like for all day for breakfast. Or I guess if it's for breakfast, it wouldn't be all day then. But maybe some ice cream, a bunch, some cake, a bunch of really healthy things probably. But the thing that interests me about the wishes that the children from the Make-A-Wish Foundation end up being able to make, I reckon not all wishes can be granted, but the wishes that end up being granted, they end up being sort of small in comparison to their situation. Now, being able to meet up with a professional football team or something like that is a big deal, I think. But in comparison to the life stopping might of a terminal disease, I feel like sometimes it's relatively small. So, the strange thing for me is that sometimes I could imagine myself being in that situation thinking, what wish could possibly make me feel better about this? I'm staring down the barrel of death itself. There's nothing that can make me feel better. The only thing that could make me feel better in this situation is a miracle because I've already been cursed. But for some reason, these kids wish for things to me that seem rather small. Like, I guess, to be honest, I didn't really do too much research, but from the Key and Peele video, one of the wishes that was suggested to a child was to fly in a hot air balloon. That's something that I think is relatively small. Like, you go up and you go down. Seems pretty insignificant to me at first. But then I sort of thought about it a bunch, and I guess what I came to was that the reason why this sort of foundation and things like this help is because it's not really about trying to sort of reverse the effects that cancer or whatever terminal illness had on the child's life or anything. It's to just perhaps ease them into a sort of kind of acceptance as their life is likely maybe on the way out. So maybe we want to give them an experience that can make them feel satisfied with what they had. I think this is something that's extremely powerful, actually. Um, the fact that a person from the Make-A-Wish Foundation doesn't need to wish for something like, uh, for example, like we might wish for, like being able to have a bunch of perhaps like Gucci handbags or maybe being on the, I don't know, being able to, I don't know, I don't really know what people would wish for, but I think that the kids from the Make-A-Wish Foundation wish for things that are different than what we might usually think about. And I think that's really interesting because, for example, if you think about perhaps wishing to meet a famous sports player or someone who plays on a famous sports team, I think the reason why they'd wish for that is because they just want a general feeling of sort of friendship and camaraderie that you get from being on a team, and they want sort of the ultimate feeling of that, and they don't tend to be able to get that in the way that their lives sort of are. Maybe they'd like to lift off in a hot air balloon, not necessarily because they're huge nerds about balloons or whatever, but maybe just because the sky has a freedom from their hospital that they just really yearn to achieve. In this way, I think by being in those terrible conditions, these kids from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, I guess, learned to dream small, kind of. And although sometimes we can argue that that's kind of a bad thing, in this situation, the fact that they dreamed small, it led them to be extremely satisfied by this act, which couldn't possibly combat the true might of the disease that they were diagnosed with. I think we should try to do something similar in our lives. Um, so even though I'm saying dream small a little bit, I don't really think that we should give up on our major life goals, but I think we should try to continuously maybe each day, maybe every now and then, find something, find some little thing that we can do to help us, I don't know, sort of reach something that we've always been yearning for, at least slightly. Like, if we feel cramped, try to go outside and really, really, really appreciate the feeling of fresh air entering our lungs. Like, meditating with mindfulness simply can help, like, sort of accentuate this feeling a little bit more, I think. And if we can sort of focus on this, I think we can accept the situations that we're in much more and not end up doing too risky things to try to change our situations, or we can just accept being in it long enough so that when it does change, we can finally be whole and be who we are when it gets there, instead of becoming jaded individuals who think, "Ugh, finally, you know?" In this way, I think that gratitude is sort of a superpower that humans might be able to have, because I think that gratitude allows us to find peace in limited things where sometimes reasonably we might not think peace should be able to be found. I don't know, thought it was pretty interesting. But thank you all for watching. I really hope if you liked it, you like it with the thumbs up button, or maybe try to subscribe if you want. And if you didn't like it, maybe you dislike it, I guess. But also leave me a comment to tell me maybe why you didn't like it or how it could have improved. And as always, I guess you can leave a comment about anything. But I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will talk to you later. Peace out.